Hey, and welcome back to 31 Days of Horror. This is day 31. 3-1. Out of all these days, we are finally to the last, and I saved a goodie for the lasty. We have today's film, Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage. Devo really liked this movie. He thought it was his big. What the hell? What was that about? Is that what you think of this movie? Is that your true opinion? Look, it's a good movie, okay? Alright, so it has a lot of things about it that are not great. Like, some of the special effects are kind of cheesy, and it has, like, it's kind of pushing this anti drug message, um, which is good, but it's a little bit too heavy-handed, and there are a lot of just extremely gross out moments in it, which I really love, but some people might not like as much. But the one thing that really kind of bothered me about this movie is there's so much screaming. There was non-stop screaming in this fucking movie. So in it, there's this guy Brian. Suddenly he wakes up. There's a parasite in his room, and this parasite is giving him this insane super drug that's just like shooting him up and making him like see lights and images and all kinds of crazy shit. And so this insect eel thing basically tells him, I will provide you with this intense drug, but you have to help me eat. Basically, take him out, wander him around the city, and then allow him to gobble up people's brains. And so when he does this, when he takes him out into the city, Elmer jumps off of Brian's body, latches himself to someone's head, and then just ends up just digging himself deep into people's cerebellum. And or is it cerebrum? I never mind. So, and these people are screaming and screaming and ah, and so there's a lot of screaming in this movie. I was watching this at like really early, so I was like, my neighbors, they're probably thinking something. Well, they're probably just thinking the normal was going on in my room, in my apartment, and but there's a lot of fun in this movie because it's so weird and out there, and the special effects are very goofy, but they kind of fit with the tone of the rest of the film. The film is very blue, by the way. It's extremely blue. There's blue goo being injected into people's brains. There is just blue liquid when he has these dreams. His room fills up with this blue liquid. There's blue lights cast from everything. And so, if you're not a fan of the color blue, you might want to stay away from this picture. And, yeah, probably a couple other movies, because that's a thing that movies do now, which is this kind of weird color correction, and everything's weird and has this blue cast or this weird amber cast to it, which I don't really understand. Um, it's I don't know. I'm not a filmmaker, but so there's tons of gore. There's tons of injection scenes where Elmer is injecting this hyper drug into Brian here, and he's just just like looking like the most intense O face he's ever had in his life. And so there's a lot of that, and it's just kind of there's injection scene, then there's a scene with Brian going out into the city and wandering around, and then there's a kill scene with Elmer attaching himself to someone's head, eating their brains in a number of different ways. And so Brian is dealing with this. He's also dealing with his girlfriend that keeps trying to get in touch with him, but of course Brian is deep in the throes of addiction, so he doesn't give a shit about anybody. And he lives with his brother, and his brother and his girlfriend end up, getting together a little bit. So there's that. but the movie isn't really it's not really concerned with character. It's not really concerned with how people feel or um, emotions or anything. It's really just kind of focusing on the gore, the intensity, gross out factor, and stuff like that, which is great. And I'm not discounting that at all because it had a definite feeling like Dead Alive or Meet the Feebles, where it was just kind of really intense and really gross, and I like that too. So I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun, a little depressing. There was one scene where he's going into an alleyway to get yet another injection of this blue liquid into his brain, and you just see in the foreground a homeless man just drinking out of a bottle in a fire escape, just drinking out of his bottle and then just weeping, just and then drinking out of the bottle and then weeping and then drinking out of the bottle and weeping. And wow, that is very, very depressing. Uh, but at least it's showing maybe not a realistic depiction of addiction, but it's trying to get there. It's trying to give you a little bit of the whole. It's not. It is kind of an anti-drug movie, but it's an anti-drug movie in the same way as that Saturday morning special with all the cartoon stars, where it's too goofy to actually be saying anything. You know. Uh, so what else? Oh, there's a cameo from Belial and Dwayne. And if you don't know who they are, you need to go out and see Basket Case right away, which is Frank Henenlotter's first film. And there's a quick cameo from them, which is fun. Yeah, it is just really intense and wild, and I do recommend it. But it's something that you really only need to see like once every 10 years, I would say, because it's not like one of those movies that you could just pop on when your mom comes around or even your girlfriend. It might be rough for her too. Uh, so that's it for that. I just wanted to say a little thing about horror films in general. This film, it definitely makes you think about how you isolate people and how you kind of, or you isolate yourself from people. And it really makes you think like this guy at any point could have gone to like a hospital or gone to the police or something, but instead he just continued to let this thing grip onto him, and literally it was the monkey on his back. And I've known people that have dealt with addiction, and I've known alcoholics and stuff like that, and sometimes they just don't want help, and they just want to stay in this world of what they can control. And it's the same thing with horror films, where we have a lot of horror in our lives in general, just around us in the world, and we shelter ourselves from the horrors and the ugliness and all the nastiness going on in the world. And that's why I think horror is important, because we watch it on the screen, and in a sense, it mirrors our own thoughts about what's going on outside of our safe little zone. And it makes us realize that it may not be exactly real, but there are things going on that are just as intense as what's going on up there. So it kind of connects us to the world in a sense. Uh, I don't know. I'm getting all philosophized, but I love horror movies. I'm gonna take a break for a while because wow, that was a lot. I was watching 2 to 3 horror movies a day. You don't know what that's like. Maybe you do. Anyway, thanks for watching 31 Days of Horror. It was my pleasure. I can't wait to do it next year. See you on the next video. Bye, guys. Love ya.